The Russell Wilson experiment in Denver seems to be headed to ruins, as the Broncos will likely be searching for a new starting quarterback this offseason. Following back-to-back underwhelming seasons as Denver's acclaimed new franchise quarterback, the failed working relationships with head coaches Nathaniel Hackett and Sean Payton prove Wilson's declining play and likely exit. The best bet moving forward for the franchise is to rip the Band-Aid off now, rather than digging themselves deeper in the financial hole of Wilson's contract. However, a few weeks following General Manager George Paton's press conference with the media, some have speculated the potential possibility of Wilson returning to Denver in 2024 as the team's starter, even after his benching in Week 17. "The door remains open with Russ," said Paton. Could this be a general manager's slick way of creating misconception that Wilson could be available for trade and not a cut candidate? Or are the Broncos seriously considering mending their relationship with Wilson? 3 reasons why Russell Wilson will not return to Denver. 1. Concerning contract. The Broncos are currently scheduled to pay Wilson $39 million guaranteed in 2024, and he has made it well known to the public that he will not be pushing back his $37M injury guarantee date in 2025. Therefore, retaining Wilson forces the Broncos organization into an ever deeper hole with his contract, making it more difficult to address other positions of need on the roster for years to come. Yes, the $85M dead cap hit will sting. However, a post-June 1 Saint designation will make the situation a bit more feasible to work with from a financial standpoint. Not to mention, if Wilson is on the roster after the first week of March, an additional $37 million in guarantees will be triggered for his 2025 salary. The Broncos simply cannot justify the salary that is curating Russell Wilson. 2. Jarrett Stidham's spark. Of the 3 reasons, this may be the most obvious. For nearly 10 times less the average annual salary of Wilson's, quarterback Jarrett Stidham produced nearly the same production on the field in 2 starts as Wilson did in 15. Also, with much less NFL experience and 0 first-team reps until Week 17, Stidham was able to look like a competent quarterback in the pocket and operate the field at a much higher level than Wilson, who has played 12 years in the league. In the final 2 games, Stidham completed 40 of 66 passing attempts for 496 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception while converting 19 first downs through the air. While it was a small sample size, Stidham was on pace to throw for over 161 first downs if he had started all 17 games. Through the first 15 games with Wilson as the team's signal caller, Denver ranked 30th in the NFL with a horrible 135 passing first downs. Wilson converted just 41 third downs through the air in 2023, which ranked 22nd among all quarterbacks. He ranked lower than quarterbacks like Bryce Young, Joshua Dobbs, and Desmond Ridder. While Denver did emphasize running the football at a high volume midway through the season, it was because of Wilson's inability to put a game on his shoulders when needed. That is Week 13 in Houston. There is just no reasonable justification for Wilson to quarterback the offense as one of the league's highest paid players to provide the Broncos middle-of-the-pack production if Stidham can provide the exact same play, if not better. 3. Schematic misfit. We'll truly never know if head coach Sean Payton ever saw a long-term future with Russell Wilson as his franchise quarterback. However, we do know that the systematic marriage between the two will never pan out, and unfortunately, was never meant to be. Think of it as trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Wilson completed just 17 passes over the middle of the field in 2023 in a West Coast scheme that highly benefits route runners in the intermediate part of the field. That is a big no-no. It's been an issue for Wilson ever since entering the league and was becoming a massive issue closer towards his exit from Seattle in 2022. Wilson gravely struggles to read the middle of the field, like how an average starting quarterback is expected to. He's not the right fit in Payton's system and isn't capable of consistently winning football games without defensive takeaways and an elite running game. We witnessed that in Seattle as well. I'm almost certain Payton wants someone who can point guard his offense and prioritize taking care of the football. Wilson does not fit that mold at this point in his career. For the 4th offseason in a row, the Denver Broncos are expected to explore trade scenarios for their top 2 wide receivers, Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton, but this year they may actually be serious about moving one of the 2. Broncos insider for 9 News, Mike Kliss, reported that the Broncos are expected to move on from either Jeudy or Sutton this offseason and develop rookie Marvin Mims Jr. into a starting role. Denver's wide receiver room has simply not lived up to expectations for quite some time now, meaning that general manager George Paton and head coach Sean Payton may entertain the possibility of reconstructing that position group. Considering Courtland Sutton established himself as one of the league's best red zone threats, there is a slight chance the Broncos could net a second-round draft pick in return for the 6-year receiver. However, a third-round selection is probably the more realistic return value at this point in his career. And judging from Sutton's recent activity on social media, he may be more likely to part ways than Jerry Jeudy. While Jeudy struggled to produce a likable season from a statistical standpoint, there is still a bright future ahead for the fourth-year wideout. In 16 games in 2023, Jeudy caught 54 passes for 758 yards and a low 2 touchdowns. According to Next Gen Stats, among qualifying wide receivers with a minimum of 45 targets in 2023, Jeudy finished 4th in average cushion, 7.2, 8th in average separation, 3.6, 9th in yards after catch per reception, 6.2, 5th in expected yards after catch per reception, 5.3, and recorded just 2 drops. As for Courtland Sutton, he finished 43rd in average cushion, 6.4, 33rd in average separation, 2.9, 16th worst in yards after catch per reception, 3.1, 64th in expected yards after catch per reception, 3.2, and recorded 6 drops with just 3 more targets than Jeudy all season. Sutton also finished the year with just 14 more receiving yards than Jeudy. The idea that Sutton is a far better receiver than Jeudy is completely false for countless reasons. With an increased target share and a quarterback who can complete his proper reads utilizing the intermediate part of the field, Jeudy could absolutely explode in production. The stats and film back it up. For the financial side of things, the Denver Broncos are essentially making a parallel move by moving off the contracts of Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. Trading Jeudy would save the Broncos $12.98 million in 2024 cap space by getting rid of his fully guaranteed salary. Trading Sutton would save Denver $13M in 2024 cap space by not having to pay his base salary, but also help them down the road. In 2025, Sutton turns 30 years old and will be owed a $13.5 million base salary before he becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2026. Not to mention, Sutton's cap hits of roughly $17.3 million in 2024 and $17.8 million in 2025 are a bit more expensive than Jeudy's $12.98 million in 2024. This could force Denver to feel more inclined to move off Sutton's contract due to the incoming cap ramifications of the expected Russell Wilson release. However, this does not necessarily mean that Sutton has to be traded. George Paton is perfectly capable of adding 2 void years to Sutton's contract to push back his cap hits and effectively free up 2024 cap space. On the flip side, the Broncos' front office could feel hesitant to make this decision due to the reality that this scenario would tie themselves deeper into Sutton's contract. It would not be a shock if the Broncos look to shake up the receiver room in 2024. All signs currently point to Sutton being the first one out. Wilson has been linked to the Minnesota Vikings, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, and now the Raiders since the season ended. It's all speculation for now and moot until and unless the Broncos release him. Nobody is going to trade for Wilson due to that albatross of a contract. That is the reason the Broncos benched him in the first place. Wilson took steps forward in 2023 under Payton, but it's difficult to argue that his performance was commensurate with the $49 million per year he's set to earn on the $245 million extension the Broncos gave him in August of 2022.